Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Bat Around. I'm your host, Paul Valley. He is Ryan Blake. We are coming to you live on a Sunday rather than a Saturday. I had a league all-star game and the home run derby. And Ryan, let me tell you, man, my body hurts. My body hurts because what happened was they had batting practice like you're shagging fly balls and fielding grounders and stuff like that. But it was over the over 30 league and the over 40 league, both doing their all-star festivities on the same day. So a lot of people hitting. So we get up there at 8 a.m. You take batting practice and fielding practice from 8 to 10:25. Then 10:30, the home run derby starts for the 30 and over league. So literally I played baseball from 8 to noon, just doing batting practice and home run derby and stuff like that, run around shagging flies and everything. Then I got like a 45-minute break, came home, let the dog out, went back. I was the starting pitcher in the All-Star game, despite only throwing 5 innings this year. And I threw 3 innings. I struck out 4, gave up 2 hits, walked 1, and gave up 1 earned run. It was a good outing. But literally played baseball basically from 8 a.m. to 4:30 yesterday, and then I had to go work a restaurant shift. So at the end of the shift, my legs felt like cement, my ankle hurt, my knees hurt, my back hurt. I got a full night's sleep, and yet my body still feels exactly the same. And I'm going to be 40 in 12 days, and I think that this is 40. I think that that's what this is.
Well, I feel bad complaining myself now. I had my first softball game in a while last Sunday night, and trouble walking Monday through Wednesday. I tried to slide around a tag, last minute decision. I think I hurt. I guess it's my sciatic nerve. I don't know, but yeah, I was having some trouble walking this week as well. But feeling a little better today, which is good. Hopefully, we're off this week because of Labor Day, but hopefully I'll be back and ready to go for next Sunday.
Yeah, man, you got to stretch. You got to stretch before the games. I at least stretched yesterday. I can't even imagine how much worse it would be had I not.
Oh, yeah.
But wish the Orioles would have stretched because things aren't looking good in Birdland right now. Before we get into that, today's show brought to you by Royal Farms. These are the final 2 days to take advantage of Royal Farms' annual Chicken Palooza celebration. This year's deals include a 3-piece meal for just $8 and an 8-piece meal for just $12. Plus, you can go to royalfarms.com and enter for your chance to win chicken for a year. And while you're there, vote for your favorite charity, as Royal Farms is donating 10 cents from every 3-piece meal sold during Chicken Palooza to the winning charity. Plus, don't forget to get your Chicken Palooza gear to celebrate everyone's favorite season. Stop by your neighborhood Rofo today before the great deals are gone. All right, Ryan, let's get into it.
We moved the show from Saturday to Sunday, and instead of losing on Friday night, the Orioles lose on Saturday night. It's just par for the course with this show.
Par for the course. Rockies 7, Orioles 5. Look, the Orioles found themselves down 3-0. They came back. Then they found themselves down 5-2. They came back. They tied the game at 5. And then Yennier Cano, to get out of the 7th inning, throws 8 pitches to get 2 outs. You're feeling good. Orioles don't score in the top of the 8th. You come to the bottom of the 8th, and Craig Kimbrell's there. And then Craig Kimbrell gives up. Yeah, I know, right? two runs on 2 hits. And look, he's in your bullpen. You've got to use him. I get it. And I get that he's pitched a little bit better recently. Cano threw 8 pitches. There's no chance that Kimbrell's regained your trust after 4 outings and 3 2/3 innings. How could he? But I mean, Hyde goes to his guy.
What more can you say?
We're gonna second guess everything, right? But stick with the hot hand. He got 2 outs on 8 pitches. Cano's been pitching a lot better recently, I feel like, anyway. And you're trying to win a ball game. You can't lose games to the Rockies. And sure enough, they do. Kimbrell gives up the 2 runs. They lose 7-5. To make matters worse, Dean Kramer looked like the Dean Kramer from not from the last 3 starts, but from the 4 or 5 starts before that. Three in the third inning, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, a walk, 3 strikeouts. Left the game after taking a 103 mile per hour liner off his throwing arm. If you saw that bump on his arm, that looked grotesque.
It was
I think
immediate and it was massive.
I'm pretty sure he's going to be going on the IL. I don't see how he couldn't.
Yeah.
Anthony Santander looking to snap out of it a little bit. He had a 2-run homer and a double. Eloy Jimenez, a home run. Ryan O'Hearn, a 2-run single. So nice to see those guys kind of get the bat going. Ramon Arias, I still haven't seen the replay. I was at the restaurant, but apparently he got hit by a pitch on the nose, and it just grazed his nose. And apparently, like the slow motion replay, you just see the nose like wiggle or whatever.
Yeah, the nose went back and forth in the replay. Just so lucky, especially after seeing what happened to James McCann, which was a month ago yesterday. So it was exactly a month later. Yeah, Arias lucked out, and in his first at bat, he was not hit, but had to duck out of the way of a pitch in his first at bat as well. And then the second one, just got him just straight across the tip of the nose. His reaction made it look worse than it was. It just seemed like it just touched the tip of the nose. And it, like you said, in the slow-mo replay, you could see it kind of wobble back and forth. But he was able to stay in the game, seemed all right until he rolled his ankle on third base a few innings later.
Yeah, rolled his ankle on a throw down third. He had to leave the game. We know that Coby Mayo got called back up because of this. I don't know that he's going to play today or not. I mean, to have to travel from wherever Norfolk is to Colorado overnight and then play in the game. Maybe he'll play. I would imagine that he wouldn't, but
yeah, I don't know, because it was reported before the game that Mayo would be added to the rosters today with the September expansion.
Oh, so, that makes sense. I didn't even think about that. It's September 1st.
Yeah, so of course with Arias going down, it makes that need much greater at this point. But I think those moves were independent of each other. In any event, Mayo's been hitting the ball well since he went back to AAA. I believe I saw that he's hitting like 293 since then. So hopefully it's that reset that a lot of these rookies have needed when they get called up and struggle. They go back down, work on a couple things, and then come back up ready to roll. And hopefully that's going to be the case with Mayo as well, because Lord knows this offense needs him, especially with now 3. And I didn't think we'd be including Ramon Arias in this trio, but now 3 of our best right-handed bats on the shelf. So we're going to need some help from Mayo.
Yeah, man. It's when it rains, it pours. It feels like, and it's like this team has a chance to still make a run, but like it's really, really difficult to feel confident based on what we've seen. Adley, Gunnar, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more in depth later in the show. But they're not doing the job. Ryan Mountcastle's on the shelf right now, so you don't really have the great right-handed bat. Eloy Jimenez, he had his first home run as an Oriole last night, and he's played well since being here, but he's got to show more power if you want to be able to rely on him consistently. Jackson Holliday's in a horrific slump right now. You're not getting much. Colton Cowser's bat has slowed down after a hot start after the All-Star break. You're not getting much from the team as a whole. We saw in like a 10-game span, they had 3 hits or less, like 5 times, 4 hits or less, like 5 times. The offense is just wildly inconsistent. And before we get into that, I want to remind you today's show brought to you by helpmygamblingproblem.org. If you or a loved one has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit helpmygamblingproblem.org for free confidential services. That's 1-800-GAMBLER or visit helpmygamblingproblem.org for free confidential services. That wasn't a great segue into a live read, but I have to
squeeze it in somewhere.
And we've got an extra read now with Ravens season starting, so I had to squeeze it in somewhere. But getting back to the offense, Ryan Fuller, one of the Orioles' 2 hitting coaches, along with, and they also have an offensive strategist, he deleted his X handle the other day. He and what's his name, Borgeschulte?
Matt Borgeschulte, yeah.
Yeah. They got absolutely torched by the fan base on social media because this offense has been terrible. They've been one of the worst. I don't have the numbers. I don't need to look up the numbers to tell you what my eyes have seen. They've been one of the worst offenses in baseball for a good stretch here. Now, overall, for the season, They're, I think, third in the league in runs scored. But this in the month of August alone, I'd be shocked if they scored more than 3 3/4 runs a game. They just have not been swinging the bats well, to the point where one of the hitting coaches deleted his X handle, his X account. Now you've got Ramon Arias, who's probably oddly enough, who is probably your most consistent hitter for the last month. Jordan Westbrook and Ryan Mountcastle, they're all either on the IL or about to go on the IL. I think Ramon Arias is probably going on there. But no team in either league, Ryan, is running away with things. We've seen how bad the offense has been, how badly the Stars are struggling all at the same time. Can this team make a run? Like, I know that we ask this question every week, and because every week we see the same thing. It's they win, they lose, they win, they lose, they win. They play 500 baseball every week. They haven't had a 3-game winning streak since mid-July? And I think it was wrapped around the All-Star break. Can this team put things together with this softer schedule to start September and make a run? Because right now they're not giving me a lot of confidence that this season is going to get very deep into October.
Yeah, I can't say I have a lot of confidence, but I absolutely think they could make a run. We've watched the Major League Baseball playoffs. We know how things go. It's last year, the 4 best teams who won, 3 of them won over 100 games, including the Orioles and the Tampa Bay Rays, who won 99. Those 4 teams won a combined 1 playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about who the best team is going into October. It's about getting hot in October. I believe it might have been you actually who posted last year the Texas Rangers lost like 16 of 20 in August and September. And then they went on to win the World Series. And the team that they faced in the World Series won 83 games in the regular season.
Had a 9-game losing streak in August to fall 2 games below 500.
Yeah, they were not the best teams in baseball, not by a long stretch. So, look, all it takes is a hot little run, and if anybody can do it, I know this team is capable of it. With that said, all the injuries that they've faced, it's just one after the other. We're already decimated. Then last night, we probably lose both Kramer and Arias to the injured list. We have a starting rotation on the injured list right now that I think would make a dominant October run. Kyle Bradish, Grayson Rodriguez, Zach Eflin, who is being activated today, John Means, Tyler Wells, Dean Kramer. Those are all serviceable pitchers at worst. And you're missing them. You've got Cade Povich in the rotation. You've got Cole Irvin in the rotation. You've got Albert Suarez, who, granted, has been phenomenal. But on paper, that's not a name that you want, But,
right.
we know better than the league in terms of Suarez. But, yeah, look, all it takes is getting hot at the right time. And I know this team's capable of it. Yeah, it's been an awful stretch. But I was texting a buddy the other day. We had so much fun as Orioles fans last season. And this year has been, it's gotten to the point this year where I've taken a break from social media, or posting at least. I'll still look at stuff, but I've taken a break from posting on social media. There are nights when I am not even inclined to turn on the Orioles game. And of course I care. Of course I'm still following the score and seeing what happens. But it's been a grueling last few months. And it has not been a fun season to be an Orioles fan. And that feels like the kind of season that's going to somehow end in a World Series appearance. I can't explain why. It just feels like everything has gone against us for so long these last few months that it feels like we're going to end up there, and it's going to be like, all right, we were all angry and pissed off all season for nothing. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're going to fizzle out again in the first postseason series. But it has that weird feeling that's like we've been so angry, it's going to somehow turn around and we're all going to be like, all right, whatever, we did it. Cool.
Right. And I have the same feeling. I was thinking about last night. I'm like, it's been I didn't tweet at all during the game 2 days ago. And I didn't do it. And I think I put out 2 last night. One was Eloy Jimenez has been such a great addition to this team. And the other one was just spectacular, or maybe it was spectacular. It was after the Orioles just floundered away in the ninth inning. Like you just have that feeling where it's like it's so bad right now, but you know that there's guys coming back. You know the schedule's soft in September. You know, the Orioles in September, 18 of 21 games are against teams that are a minimum of like 3 or 4 games out of a playoff spot, right? They've got this final game with Colorado. They've got 3 with the White Sox. They're playing the Giants. They're playing the Tigers 6 times. They've got Boston. They've got Tampa Bay. They in those 21 games. I mean, if the Orioles, what if the Orioles go 14-7, or they go 13-8 in those 21 games? That makes a huge difference. That makes a huge difference. And then you're looking at a team that's likely clinched a playoff spot at the end of those 21 days. And then you're like, okay, now we can kind of configure things. We can figure things out. We've got Grayson coming back. You know, Webb's starting a rehab assignment. Grayson's throwing off a mound. He's feeling good. He said that he's feeling good. You know, I haven't heard a word about Danny Kulo. I have no idea what's going on with him. But, you know, Westberg he said he's working his butt off to get back. Hopefully you get Ramon back. You're not getting Jorge Mateo back. He had Tommy John surgery. But you've got some guys who are on their way back. You kind of want to tread water, but also at the same time, the very Rick Dempsey, also at the same time. Have you ever noticed he does that a lot?
Oh, yeah.
Also at the same time. You know, you want to tread water, but like you have an opportunity here to do something pretty big. And if they can get hot in these 21 games of a softer schedule, then they've got 3 games against the Yankees and 3 games against the Twins to end the year. You know, those games could mean something. Like those games could mean something as far as playoff seeding is concerned. Win one of those games against the Yankees, you've got the tiebreaker. Again, no team's running away with it. It sucks right now because they're it's not that they lose. Teams lose games. You know, there's the old adage, every baseball team's going to win 50, except the White Sox and the 2018 Orioles. Every team's going to win 50. Every team's going to lose 50. It's what you do in the other 62 games that determines whether you're a playoff team or not, right? And, you know, I lost my train of thought.
Well, look, it's yeah, I get where you're going with that. I mean, look, they have.
I remember what I was going to say.
All right, go ahead.
I remember what I was going to say. So every team loses baseball games. You lose a game where the other guy just like if you're facing an ace, if you're facing Tarek Skubal and he goes 8 innings of 2-run ball against you, and you know your starting pitcher gives up 3 runs, you lose those games, and that's okay. It's okay to lose. It's how they lose that's disappointing. It's making the same mistakes over and over and over again. It's, you know, having 1 hit through 4 innings against one of the worst pitching teams in all of baseball. It's going up against the guy who has the worst ERA in the major leagues of qualified starting pitchers and scoring 1 run in 5 innings. Like, those are the games that, like, you've got to be better than that. You have got to be better than that. So again, it's not that they lose. It's how they lose. It's so frustrating. And yet we're still sitting here with a golden opportunity in front of them. But to your point, this season has been absolutely taxing. And one, you know, with heightened expectation, with playing better baseball comes heightened expectations. Coming off a 101-win season where they were dismal in the playoffs, you have these expectations that they're going to get back to the playoffs and they're going to make a run. And yes, they're going to the playoffs. They're going to get back there. Okay. It's what they're going to do there. You have the expectations, but like for me, watching this team play sub 500 baseball for more than a third of the season now, we're talking since mid-June. We're coming up on 3 months of sub 500 baseball. Losing record in August, losing record in July. For the first time since 2022, they had a losing month, let alone back-to-back. It's very frustrating to the point where I haven't been active on social media really the last 2 days, and because I need it. I need a break. I need a break. Like, I watch the team because I love them, but also almost out of obligation. And I tweet almost out of obligation. But it's also cathartic to have people kind of commiserate with you. But, like, it stresses me out, man. And like, I sometimes have to sit back and remind myself, it's just baseball. Like, it's just baseball. You know what I mean? But like, we love it. We get so into it that you kind of lose yourself in it. So it's like you said, I've needed a break. So I needed to like step back because it's like all of this. I don't feel like I tweet negativity. I feel like I tweet something realistic. Every now and again, it's a knee jerk negative reaction, and I'll own that. But like the engagement that I get is what stresses me out. And it's like, I just need to sit back and chill. You know what I mean?
Sure. And despite it all, Paul, despite everything you just said, everything we've talked about to this point, the first team out, it's September 1st, right? There's a month left of the season. The first team out of a playoff spot right now is the Boston Red Sox. And the Orioles have a 7.5 game lead on them. So the Orioles are 7.5 up into a playoff spot right now. Barring an epic collapse against a weak schedule, which honestly wouldn't shock me based on what we've seen, but it would surprise me a bit. Barring an epic collapse, this team is going to be playing in October. And you gotta be able to make adjustments. And you talk about how we're losing games. I truly hope that Brandon Hyde learned from last postseason, because Bruce Bochy managed circles around Brandon Hyde all 3 of those games. You gotta hope, and this is where my optimism is wavering. You've gotta hope that Hyde learned his lessons and will not make the same mistakes again. With that said, he's had
spoiler, he didn't.
He's had what, 7 years to turn things around and learn how to make adjustments, and he simply put has not. I don't have a ton of optimism in that regard, but this team will be playing in October, and hopefully, we've gotten comments in the past on past shows like, is this team's going to miss the playoffs? And you see it on social media. We'll see it in our comments once in a while. They're not going to miss the playoffs. It would have to be a Boston Red Sox September 2011 type collapse. And I don't see that happening with this team. I think they're going to be just good enough to stick around and earn a wild card spot. I don't think they're going to win the division at this point, but you never know. Like you said, no team is running away with it. So, everything I think is still on the table, if we're being honest.
Yeah. It's just, it's hard right now. You've got to come out and win today.
Yeah.
Got to come out and win today. Hopefully Coby Mayo is a spark that they need. Getting Zach Eflin back is a spark that they need. But it's like Dean Kramer had just started pitching well, and then he comes out there, kind of puts up a dud, and then on top of that, he gets a line drive off the arm. He's probably going to be out. Anytime, like we got Zach Eflin, and then immediately Grayson Rodriguez strained his lat. You get Eflin back, and immediately you lose Dean Kramer. You get Kyle Bradish and John Means back. Immediately Kramer goes on the IL. Then John Means needs Tommy John surgery again. Then Kyle Bradish needs Tommy John surgery. It's like, I think they had their best rotation together for about 3 weeks. If that. It was like, this team just the injury bug has just absolutely crapped all over this team. I know the injury bug bites a team. This injury bug has completely crapped everywhere. Yeah. And like you have to wonder. Let's just say that the only injury this team suffered was John Means. Where would this team be right now? If Danny Coulomb hadn't gotten hurt, where would this team be right now?
Right.
It's a huge difference. You're not just losing pitching and losing position players. You're losing an all-star third baseman. You're losing a Cy Young candidate. You're losing a former all-star who was a drop third strike away from a perfect game. You lost your Cy Young candidate closer, who was the relief pitcher of the year despite missing a month and a half to end the season. You lost your second best reliever. You lost Tyler Wells, who had the best ERA of any starting pitcher in the American League in the first half and was a dominant back-end presence down the stretch in the second half of the season. Like, you're losing guys who are core pieces of your team. It's not just like, oh, the Orioles lost Dean Kramer and they lost Ramon Arias. No, you lost like legitimate pieces. And yet they're still sitting here in a playoff spot with a month in the season to go. Despite the bad baseball, a huge opportunity in front of them. They've got to start the run today. Eflin's back. Corbin Burns has got to be better. And I know that those errors hurt him, that like those errors made continued an inning. But he's the one after the error that gave up the 2 singles. And then after the next error gives up the 3-run homer. He's the one who gave those up. It wasn't the error that by Gunnar or the error by McCann that left or by Arias that left a hanging breaking ball over the middle of the plate for what was it, 7 consecutive curveballs he threw to Teoscar Hernandez.
I don't remember that at bat. I've tried to erase that at bat from my memory.
I believe it was 5. It was 5 consecutive curveballs. The last one hung and he hit it a country mile. Like Corbin Burnes did that. Like an ace is supposed to, even despite the error, go out and get an out in that situation. And he didn't. He threw gasoline on the fire. He's got to be better. Getting Eflin back. Start the run today. Just start the run today. Go 5-1 this next week. You've got 6 games against 2 teams that you are superior to. Go 5-1. Take this series from Colorado, sweep the White Sox, and take 2 of 3 from Tampa Bay. And this team, you look at how different this fan base will feel a week from tomorrow if the Orioles go out and do that. And they absolutely can. They just need to get your head out of your ass and start playing baseball.
Yeah.
Start playing baseball.
And it's got to start today. You got to come out of Coors Field with a series win. You can't walk out of there with your tail between your legs and say, we'll try again tomorrow. That's got to stop, because we've been talking about that for months now. Let's start today has been going on for so long, and it's never started. Now's the time. September's here. It has to actually start.
Yeah. I mean, you look at this team, they're 78-59. They are 5 games under 500 since that 17-5 victory against the Yankees back in mid-June. They were 49-25 after that game. And they're now 29-34 since. 29-34 since. So like all those fans, the toxic positivity crowd that says, you guys would think that this team is in last place. They're still, the top wild card team and close to leading the division at the beginning of September. We could only be so lucky. They've played more than a third of the season under 5 games under 500 in that stretch. Like, you have to be realistic. It's not the overall. It's what is this team doing right now? But they've got the run in them. Start it today.
Please
start it today. And we're going to get into the guys who really need to step up, who we shouldn't have to ask them to step up. They should just do it. We're going to get into that later. Today's show brought to you by a new Press Box show. The Arthur Millette Show kicks off Tuesday, September 10th. You can join Glenn Clark, Sarita Hubbard, Arthur Millette and his special guests all season long as they travel the region, allowing you to get up close and personal with your favorite players. The September 10th show is live from the Hamilton Sports Bar and Grill on Harford Road. Find the entire schedule on PressBoxOnline.com/Millette. If you can't make it out, watch the show on PressBox's Facebook or YouTube page, or listen Friday nights on 105.7 The Fan. We will see you September 10th at the Hamilton Sports Bar and Grill for the first Arthur Millette show. All right, some positive things here, Ryan, or a positive thing. Eloy Jimenez, what a joy this guy has been. When the Orioles made that trade right at the last second of the trade deadline, a lot of people were like, why did you make that trade? I don't want that guy. But I was like, whatever. If they're getting a power bat, the guy hit 30 home runs as a rookie. He's got power. He hits the hell out of the baseball, a lot of exit velocity. In that interview that they did, it was not a good interview, right? Yeah. It was not a good interview. But he was having the time of his life as the Orioles scored 3 runs. Every hit, he was like jumping up and down and super excited.
Oh yeah.
And it was just like, it was refreshing to see the joy that he brings to the dugout, to the baseball field. It was awesome to see. And in, 38 games with the team? It's not 38 games. I think it's 28 games with the team. He's slashing 296, 315. That could definitely be better. 408, 724. Hit his first Orioles home run last night. This is a guy who got a huge contract before ever debuting and then hit 30 homers as a rookie. The guy with a ton of power, can hit the hell out of the ball. He's got team options for 2025 and 2026. Should the Orioles pick up Eloy Jimenez's option, work with him in the offseason, and potentially make him that lethal veteran right-handed bat that this team is so obviously missing?
It's hard not to say yes at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they need good right-handed bats. That's no secret. That's been pretty apparent for a couple years now. And he seems to fit the mold. I mean, he's a former highly ranked prospect. Like you said, he was signed to a massive contract extension before he made his big league debut. And yeah, he's just been he's radiated joy since he came over here. He's smiling all the time. He's getting along super well with his new teammates, notably Anthony Santander. And he seems to be loving playing baseball again. Now, maybe that has more to do with him leaving the White Sox than anything. Hello,
He
Pepper.
basically said that too in the interview.
What's that?
He basically said that too. He's like motivated now being on a good team. He basically said that.
Yeah. And sure, look, there's a little bit to be desired with a slash line. OPS only 724 as an Oriole. That's not great, but it's fine. I think it's around league average. 315 on base percentage. Yeah, you'd like that to be a little higher. And yeah, look, he's a defensive liability. He doesn't bring any speed on the bases. I'm gonna try to get my cat's butt out of the camera. But look, you give an offseason to work with a guy like this, and he could, find some of that rejuvenation that, made him a top prospect once upon a time. So, look, where you're going to fit him on the roster, especially if you're relying on Kjerstad to be a regular next year, if you're planning on bringing Ryan O'Hearn back, fitting him on the roster might be a little difficult. But at this point, yeah, I'm picking up his option, at least for next year.
I don't think there's any doubt that Ryan O'Hearn's coming back. They've got an option for him. He's going to be fairly cheap. I don't think there's any doubt. I think Ryan Mountcastle's gone.
I agree on both counts.
I think Mountcastle's getting traded, but I mean that means that Ryan O'Hearn does he become your everyday first baseman? Even against lefties? Does Coby Mayo make the move from third base over the first base and he plays there primarily, and then you kind of make Ryan O'Hearn a super utility guy that plays a lot? And by super utility, I mean he plays first, he plays corner outfield, he DHs, he just mashes against right-handed pitching, and then you've got a right-handed hitter in Eloy Jimenez who can DH against righties. There's ways to get him on the roster.
Sure.
But I can also see them not picking up the option because again, 724 leaves a lot to be desired. But what if Jimenez he's already like I said, he's hitting 296 with this team, and he hits the ball hard. It's a lot of singles, but he hits the ball hard. What if in September this guy just goes off and hits 6 home runs? 6 home runs, a couple of doubles, and then you're like, and he's a spark plug for this team. There's an opportunity there. So it's at least something worth considering. I was looking at the free agent pool for hitters because I firmly believe that the Orioles need a veteran right-handed bat for this lineup. That and not just any right hand, like a guy that can strike fear in opposing pitchers. Eloy Jimenez used to be that guy, and he's still, what is he, 20? He's 27 years old. He can be that guy for you, and then Santander doesn't have to hit fourth for you. He doesn't have to hit third for you. It can be Jimenez fourth, Santander fifth, and maybe they're not high OBP guys, but you have 2 guys that can hit 30 to 40 home runs, batting 4 or 5. There's a lot worse players that the Orioles could pick up to add to their roster. We've seen it year in and year out in the offseason. And the joy that he plays with, the way that his teammates seem to like him, and especially if you bring Santander back, the relationship that those two have built, I think it would be awesome. Now he's got to stay healthy. I think DHing could help him. I think he played the outfield far too much for the White Sox, and that had a lot to do with a lot of his injuries.
Yeah.
But man, that dude is so slow. He is. It looks like he runs with pitter patter steps. Like he is so slow. But I really love he's like been a low key high quality addition to this team. It's
got an Aaron Hicks feel to it. And
I hated Aaron Hicks. I hate when people keep saying that. I hate Aaron Hicks.
never mind.
I hate Aaron Hicks. I thought that he lollygagged in the outfield after baseballs so much. I like, and to me, I'm not
I
an
agree.
Aaron
I
Hicks guy.
agree with that. I didn't love the guy. I'm just saying in terms of a bat who came aboard midseason, no one expected to contribute, and they are contributing offensively. I see a lot of similarities, but I'm with you on the defense. I wasn't a fan of Hicks in general. I just mean in terms of the feel of
Sure.
providing a little
And
spark to the offense from an unexpected source.
and let me rephrase that. Hate is a strong word. I don't care for him to be on my baseball team. I don't want Aaron Hicks on my baseball. Don't hate him. He was good at the plate, good enough anyway. Especially, it was awesome how he kind of hit the ground running right when Cedric Mullins got hurt, like right when the Orioles needed him to. That was awesome. But I watched him, really slow play, lazy play balls in the outfield down the stretch for the Orioles. And the one in Cleveland where what was his name? Adam Frazier goes out and he goes to catch the pop up, and he's like 220 feet into the outfield. Eloy Jimenez, as off the bat, not Eloy Jimenez, Aaron Hicks off the bat jogged after the ball, and it was only like 8 feet away from it. Like if he runs full bore, he gets to that baseball, but he doesn't. And people were like, well, maybe he had the leg injury. He's trying to keep himself. Literally in the next half inning, he hit a slow ground ball, beat out an infield hit, and sprinted as fast as he could. So don't tell me that guy was trying to conserve, because when it came to his offensive stats and personal individual glory, he ran his ass off. So I don't want to hear that he was trying to save his legs. BS. Anyway, got off on a tangent. Aaron Hicks. Why don't we bring back Ryan McKenna? Did you miss anything from Glenn Clark Radio this week, including conversation with Tim Kirkchin, Mike Bordick, Maryland and NFL legend Vernon Davis, and much more? Find them all right now in the Glenn Clark Radio Weekend Review feature at PressBoxOnline.com, and watch or listen to GCR every Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. At PressBoxOnline.com/radio, or right here on Facebook and YouTube. All right, a lot of injuries for this team. 2 in last night's game. Kramer takes a comebacker off the arm. Arias hit on the nose by a pitch, then he rolls the ankle. We know that Coby Mayo was recalled, but apparently that came before the game. Jorge Mateo had successful Tommy John surgery. So he's definitely, we already knew he was out the rest of the year, and he I think I heard that Brandon Hyde said they expect him ready for spring training. With a position player, Tommy John surgery is a little bit different because you're not a pitcher. You're not constantly putting all that torque on the arm. A lot of these guys can come back in 6 months after Tommy John surgery. So I expect to see Jorge Mateo kind of slow played in spring training if he's back.
Especially with being his non-throwing arm too.
Right. Remember when the injury happened and we saw it, and we saw the elbow bend the wrong way, and then you saw Brandon Hyde after the game, no structural damage, and they didn't put him on the IL immediately, and had an unused roster spot, even though Connor Norby had been called up from Norfolk and was with the team. How do you not just IL him immediately after seeing the slow motion replay of what happened to his arm? How could you think at any point after that, after seeing that injury, that he was day to day?
Yeah,
his arm bent in half.
We've seen a lot of jokes about the similarities between Brandon Hyde and John Harbaugh, and I feel like Harbaugh has a tendency to kind of do the same thing, where he'll act like a player is like, oh, he'll probably be fine for next week, and then 4 weeks later, it's like, oh yeah, we think he might be good to go this weekend. It's like, all right, well, how did you not know based on what happened that he was going to miss the last 3 games? I don't know. I'm seeing more and more similarities between Hyde and Harbaugh as the days continue to pass.
Harbaugh has. There have been times where I thought it was time for a change, but John Harbaugh overall is a far superior in every way coach than Brandon Hyde is.
Oh yeah, sure.
And I feel like it's
a lot of the mannerisms.
Yeah, no, I get it. You saw the video of the John Boy breakdown of Corbin Burns, and then he got into the whole catching thing and why these other catchers against the Orioles are getting the low strikes and the Orioles aren't.
Yep.
That is exhibit A of why this entire coaching staff needs an overhaul. Why this entire coaching staff needs, like, you have two hitting coaches and an offensive strategist, and your team has had more than 10 hits in a game like 3 times in the last 4 weeks. Like, you have more games with less than 5 or fewer hits than you do games with 10 hits in the last month. What is happening here? That, like, these hitting coaches, nobody's being held accountable, and then we're seeing these breakdowns. And Brandon Hyde was a catcher. He was a catcher. I don't know. I can't imagine being Mike Elias, seeing this stuff, seeing how the team's playing, seeing your manager just look like he's asleep at the wheel in the dugout. I mean, he just looks emotionless in the dugout. It's either emotionless or like he just can't believe that this is his life. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like in a bad way. I don't know how you go into the offseason and don't make moves, but like I have no doubts that Brandon Hyde's coming back and he's going to get a reprieve because of all the injuries. Like, if you don't fire him, fine, but you've got to completely overhaul this coaching staff from the top to the bottom.
It's been a mess. It's been an absolute mess. And exhibit A of that for me is what we've seen from Adley Rutschman at the plate. And yeah, I understand his defense seems to have taken a step back. They've got to be able to find something in the data, whether it's from John Boy or someone else, that they can figure out how to turn things around defensively for Adley. He's still blocking at an elite rate, but the pitch framing has not been good. Sorry, Pepper's giving me all the love this morning.
That's fine. My cat's right here.
You look at Adley's approach and how it's been, recently. He's so uppercut happy. It looks like he's trying to hit everything out of the park. And there's two ways to look at that. Number one, if Adley's doing this on his own, the hitting coaches need to step in and be like, hey, this is not who you are. And if it was the hitting coaches that told him to do this in the first place, then they should have been fired already. Right? It's not something's got to give. You've got two hitting coaches. You're the only team in baseball with two hitting coaches and an offensive strategist. And they can't figure out how to make adjustments, and they're letting this offensive slump continue for so long. It comes down to the coaching, plain and simple.
It absolutely does. And I don't have a ton of statistics here. I didn't look it up, but if we go to the Orioles schedule and results, and let's go to August and let's see what things looked like. The Orioles scored 125 runs in 28 games. That is somehow still close to 5 runs a game. I know it is, because 125 divided by 5 is 25, and they played 28 games. It's just under 4.5 runs per game, which is still below their season average.
Independent of those numbers, though, watch the team. It's poor situational hitting. It's poor approach. It's poor pitch recognition. It's poor plate discipline. It's extended slumps where nobody can get anything going. And when somebody does get something going, it's Ramon Arias surprisingly having a red hot August. So like they'll have those anomaly games where they're putting up, like they had a game where they scored 10 runs against Boston and lost.
Yeah.
And that's not the offense's fault, but those are going to jack up your runs per game numbers in a 28 game sample size. But just watch the team. It's been horrific. It's been just a lack of fundamental baseball that's biting this team in the butt night after night.
This team in August had 12 games where they scored 3 runs or less out of 28. 17 games where they scored 4 runs or less, and only 7 games where they scored more than 5 runs.
Yeah.
And only a quarter of your games in August did you score more than 5 runs. Now, look, you're not going to go out there and put up, like crooked numbers every game, but only a quarter of your games you're able to score more than 5 runs in a game. Yeah. That's, I'm not saying 5 or more than 5, right? Like it's and since August 17th, from August 17th to August 31st, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games out of 14. 8 games out of 14, they scored 3 runs or less. 8 games out of 14. Like, this is an extended offensive slump. And the thing is, every month except for April, they've had like a 2-week stretch where their offense is completely, where the team collectively slumped as a unit. Collectively slumped as a unit, just couldn't get anything going. It's been, and there's also the fact that like they'll score 10 runs or 13 or 17 in a game to make these numbers, look good overall. But I just feel like this team struggles more often than not. And then you see the stars, and I don't want to steal too much because when we get to take break, we're going to talk about Gunnar and Adley. But the stars are on this team, guys who are supposed to be the stars and the leaders, they are falling short, and they're falling short in big situations too. Very frustrating. And then one other thing I want to add, Trevor Rogers optioned to Norfolk. Remember, he was traded for Connor Norby and Kyle Stowers. Connor Norby got called up, and in 12 games with the Marlins, he's slashing 313, 377, 625, 1002 with 6 doubles and 3 home runs in 12 games. You're going to tell me that this Orioles team couldn't use that bat? Kyle Stowers got off to a hard start, but in his last 12 games, he's slashing 371, 421, 571, 993 with 2 doubles, a triple, a home run, and 8 RBIs. These two guys, and it's not, I'm not saying, oh, the Orioles shouldn't have traded them, they should have kept them. I'm saying the Orioles shouldn't have traded them for what they got. What they got was a guy who's been lost on the mound for what, 3 seasons now? Who has now been, you had 2 years team control, he's been optioned to AAA. That's what they got for 2 guys who are tearing the cover off the ball for the Miami Marlins right now. Connor Norby, this is the dude that I knew he was going to be. He was too good. You don't hit 400 in college and can't hit at the major league level. You don't hit close to 300 at AAA over parts of 3 seasons and with power, and you can't hit at the big league level. He's hit everywhere he's gone. The biggest knock on him has been his defense. I think his bat profile is better than Jordan Westbrook's. Jordan Westbrook's just more of an athlete. He's more of a versatile player. But Connor Norby, what he's doing for Miami right now, the Orioles need that so badly in their lineup. And instead they have Trevor Rogers floundering. Oh, by the way, he gave up 10 runs in his first start with Norfolk. 10 runs. Floundering away at AAA. Like, it's not buyer's remorse. You saw the video I put out. I hated it when it happened. I've hated it ever since. And now you're watching these 2 guys who, look, Kyle Stowers, I don't think is ever going to, I think his best year, he might hit 250 with 25 home runs, right? But that's still serviceable. Connor Norby, I think he's a 280 big league hitter. I think he's a 280 big league hitter with 20 home run power who can play corner outfield. You can put him at second base, or you can just F and DH him. And the Orioles gave those guys up for a guy who's a shell of his former self. Now, look, if we're halfway through next year and Trevor Rogers is somehow 8-4 with a 3.60 ERA, okay, I'll eat my words. But I have to see that happen first. And what I'm seeing right now is Connor Norby tearing the cover off the ball while Trevor Rogers is giving up 10 runs in the start at Norfolk.
Yeah, it's the trade is proving us all right so far. I'm in the same boat. I asked a Marlins fan friend of mine when the trade happened to sell me on Trevor Rogers, and he couldn't do it. The writing was kind of on the wall here. We knew that Norby and Stowers were going to be traded, and I think part of us kind of hoped they would be. Not because we don't think they could be major league contributors, but because we knew they weren't going to get a reasonable shot in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
But we wanted, what it comes down to is we wanted more in return, right? I'd be fine with Connor Norby and Kyle Stowers tearing the cover off the ball in Miami if we had a healthy Jesus Luzardo in our rotation, right? Or a healthy Edward Cabrera or Yuri Perez, or one of those guys. It's the fact that we got Trevor Rogers for those 2. And now Trevor Rogers is teammates with Samuel Basallo. Like, it's all gone entirely the opposite direction that Mike Elias, I think, expected it to go. So yeah, look, maybe Rogers needs an offseason with this Orioles pitching lab or whatever. I don't know, but it looks it looks bad right now, and we kind of knew it was going to be bad when it happened. So
yeah, I wasn't thrilled about it. I'm even less thrilled now. Today's show brought to you by the latest edition of Press Box, which is available now. On the cover, Bo Smolka profiles Raven star safety Kyle Hamilton, detailing his path from being the son of a basketball player to choosing football, being overlooked in the draft, and turning into a defensive unicorn as a playmaking Swiss Army knife in the NFL. Also inside me, college football players from all of the area's D1 programs and some of the area's college soccer standouts as well. You can find that print issue of Press Box all throughout the region, including at 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. Didn't get to watch the game, but Maryland absolutely destroyed UConn yesterday, 50-7. With Maryland football, man, they get off to these hot starts under Mike Locksley. Like they'll probably start like 5-0, but they have like these midseason swoons where the offense just doesn't move the ball, and like 8-5, like that's fine, but like I don't know, I don't understand why. I get NIL money is a real thing and everything like that, but like why can't you go out there and go 10-2? Why can't you win 10, 11 games? Ralph Friedgen was able to do it with a team that nobody saw coming in the early 2000s. Why can't you take a team with NIL money now? And, you have some of the best football players in the country in your region. Get them to play at Maryland. Do what you have to do. Like, there's no reason that Maryland can't be a top program in football and basketball. But I'm also an idiot when it comes to college football, so I'll shut the hell up about that. I just, I would like them to be better. Better than 85.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. AL contenders wrap up. We have stopped doing the AL East wrap up, and more so we're focusing on the contenders that are in direct contention with the Orioles right now. I leave out like the NL West leader, the AL West leader and the AL Central leader, because that has no bearing. Like I think that they might have a better seed, but if the Orioles win their division, they're going to get some home games. It's all about getting home playoff games. If they're the wild card, they should be the top wild card, and they should get that entire wild card series in Baltimore. So that's the teams that we're focused on with this AL contenders wrap up. So let's get it going. Despite out hitting the Cardinals 12-7, putting up a 4 spot in the 8th, the Yankees couldn't overcome another poor start from rookie Will Warren. Jazz Chisholm recorded 3 hits, and Giancarlo Stanton recorded 3 RBI on a pinch hit, bases clearing double, but the Cardinals held on to this one in the Bronx 6-5. Hold on a second here. Ryan and I both did this, and we left out all Cardinal stuff, and they won the game. Brendan Donovan homered and drove in 3 to back 7 innings of 1-run ball as the Cardinals withstood the Yankees' late surge to win 6-5. A first inning solo shot from Tyler O'Neill off of Tarek Skubal gave the Sox an early sense of optimism, but that was all the AL Cy Young favorite would surrender as he fired 8 innings of 1-run ball to solidify his case. Nick Pivetta gave the Sox a quality start, but the 2 runs allowed were too many as the Tigers went at home 2-1. It was where is it? It was a Trey Sweeney 2-run double in the second inning that provided the run support for Tariq Skubal's 16th victory of the year. Yainer Diaz and Yusei Kikuchi. That's not right. It was oh my gosh, I had it. Sorry guys, this has been a train wreck.
Yordan Alvarez, maybe?
No, it wasn't Yordan Alvarez. It was as soon as I see the name, I'll be like, oh yeah, that's right. Well, duh.
Yeah, right. Yainer Diaz and somebody drove in 2 runs apiece.
Yeah.
All Yusei Kikuchi did was strike out 12 over 7 innings of 1-run ball, though.
Yeah, he was pretty fantastic. What's the game again?
Astros Royals.
This is off the cuff. I apologize, guys. Astros. Yusei Kikuchi and Jeremy Pena drove in 2 runs apiece. Yainer Diaz and Jeremy Pena drove in 2 runs apiece, and Yusei Kikuchi struck out 12 over 7 innings of 1-run ball to lead the Astros over the Royals 5-2. And then finally, and this one will do fine, Will Wagner and Nathan Lukes combined to go 9 for 12 with 5 runs and 4 RBI, and 8 Blue Jays hitters recorded multi-hit efforts as Jose Barrios picked up his 14th win with 6 shutout innings in a 15-0 victory over the Twins. Now that what happened last night was the Orioles missed out on a golden opportunity, because the team in front of them, the Yankees, and every team that's directly behind them, all of them lost last night. And the Orioles couldn't pull out a victory against the freaking Colorado Rockies. And Craig Kimbrell couldn't get a scoreless inning against the freaking Colorado Rockies. The Orioles lost 7-5. Your updated standings: the Orioles stand at 78 and 59, a game and a half back of the 79 and 57 New York Yankees. And in the wild card, the Orioles are your number one wild card seed. They are 4 games up on the third. At 78 and 59, they are 3 games up on the Kansas City Royals, who are 75 and 62. The Orioles are 4 games up on the Minnesota Twins, who have the third and final wild card spot at 73 and 62. The Red Sox, 7.5 behind the Orioles, and 3.5 behind the Twins for that final wild card spot. The Mariners, they've gotten a little bit hotter recently. They're 4.5 back of the final wild card spot and 8.5 behind the Orioles for the top wild card spot. As for today's game, Zach Eflin returns from his 15-day IL stint for shoulder inflammation to make his 4th Orioles start. Did not need to do a rehab appearance. He is 4-0 with a 2.13 ERA and 1.03 WHIP in 4 starts with the Orioles. Overall, Eflin is 9-7 with a 3.72 ERA and 1.14 WHIP. He is 2-3 with a 5.57 ERA and 6 career starts versus Colorado. At Coors Field, he is 1-2 with a 4.87 ERA in 4 career starts. Colorado will counter with left-handed pitcher Ty Blach, who comes in at 3-6 with a 6.36 ERA and 1.70 WHIP in 18 games and 10 starts. Blach has faced the Orioles 1 time in his career. It was August 27th last season when he allowed 1 run on 3 hits in 7 innings of a 4-3 Rockies win. So do Zach Eflin and Ty Blach come through with the reverse lock for the Orioles today?
They might. They very well might. I don't know about you, Paul. I fondly remember the Ty Blach era in Baltimore. What a delight he was. Of course, I speak out of my ass there. No, I have a Ty Blach memory. Actually, I was at a game at Wrigley Field when he was with the Giants back in 2017. And he was out on the field warming up pregame, and Cubs fans were chirping him a little bit. And I guess it was a Cubs fan who didn't realize that baseball drafts at that time had like 40 rounds. And he was like chirping Blach, and he says, "Hey, Ty, how'd it feel to get drafted in the 5th round?" And Ty looks up and goes, "Pretty freaking good, dude." But dude, you gotta know your baseball if you're gonna try to heckle a baseball player. It's as simple as that.
I thought that he pitched for the Orioles, and I looked at his stats real quick and didn't see Baltimore. And I'm like, I thought he pitched for the Orioles, and he totally did in 2019.
Just very briefly, very, very briefly. I don't
beautiful 11.32 ERA.
Yeah, that checks out. But yeah, and then of course he has his revenge game against the Orioles last August. Goes 7 innings, 1 run. Naturally, that's just how it goes. Yeah, soft toss and lefty. What are you gonna do? This is the Orioles' MO. We'll see.
Hey Ty, how's it feel to be drafted in the 5th round? I don't know, man. I feel pretty good making $700,000 a year while you sit in the stands eating a $15 hot dog, heckling me. Yep. Like that's how it feels, bro. Like,
oh yeah,
get that. And the 5th round isn't even bad. You know, there used to be like 100 rounds in the Major League Draft. There's 20 rounds now. 5th round, like you're expected to do something. Yeah. You know, if you get drafted in the 5th round, like what a bad look for that fan. All right. Anyway, possible lineup: Blach's the left. He's been so bad in his career. The fact that he had 7 innings of 3-hit, 1-run ball against the Orioles last year is like, you would have thought that start came this year in the last couple of weeks. You know what I mean? Like, it's all the writings on the wall for just like a reverse lock. Orioles going to win today 11-4. I'm calling it.
Do they need a laugher?
They do. They need it in the worst way.
You're playing at Coors Field. Go put up 26 runs.
Hit 7 freaking home runs. I almost dropped an F-bomb. Hit 7 freaking home runs today. Like, just do it. Do it! You know, Shia LaBeouf. Come on. Possible lineup. I have got Austin Slater leading off, playing left field. Adley Rutschman batting second, catching. Although, McCann's going to catch today. I think Rutschman's going to get the full day off. So let's workshop this now. It's going to be Anthony Santander batting second, playing right field. Or Ryan O'Hearn. No, they're facing the lefty.
Yeah.
Eloy Jimenez is going to DH today, and he's going to bat fourth. That's my call. So I have Austin Slater batting first, playing left field. Anthony Santander batting second in right field. Gunnar Henderson batting third, playing shortstop. Eloy Jimenez batting fourth, DHing. Ryan O'Hearn batting fifth. Playing first base. Then I think it's going to be Colton Cowser batting sixth in center field. Then I think you'll see Jackson Holliday batting seventh, playing second base. James McCann batting eighth and catching, and Coby Mayo batting ninth, playing third base. Your thoughts?
I think we probably see Emmanuel Rivera play first base in place of O'Hearn against the lefty, but I think that's the only adjustment I would make personally. I hope they start O'Hearn. I want to see O'Hearn get some more run against lefties, but I don't know. I think Hyde loves his left-right matchups too much. I think we see Rivera at first today.
Yeah. I don't know. That was a really bad at bat by Rivera last night.
Yeah.
With a runner on third base and nobody out. And to strike, I think that was
as soon as I don't remember the pitcher's name, but as soon as he threw that first slider to Rivera and he swung and missed it, I literally said out loud, he's going to swing and miss at two more sliders in this at bat, and that's exactly what happened. It was so predictable, terrible swings on those pitches.
He struck out, and then Holliday came up, and I'm like, if Holliday strikes out, the Orioles aren't scoring. Yeah. They're not going to score. That's how little faith I have in Gunnar Henderson right now. And Gunnar got hit by a pitch, and Adley came up, and I was like, this is an opportunity where Adley all he needs to do is hit a ground ball down the line or hit a ball into the gap, and the Orioles have the lead in this game. And instead, no, he walked, didn't he?
Jackson walked, I believe.
No, Jackson struck out.
Gunnar walked.
Oh, because Gunnar got hit by a pitch.
Oh, that's right. He took an 0-2 slider off the top of the foot. To extend the inning, and that brought up Adley.
So let's see here. It was a 2-run single. It was that wasn't the fifth inning. It was much later in the game that this happened. It was much later.
This was the seventh or eighth. This was I think when we were tied.
This was in the ninth inning. It was the ninth inning. It was Cedric Mullins walked. He stole second base. He went to third on the ninth inning in a 2-run game.
Yeah, that's right.
He goes to third base on a wild pitch. Emmanuel Rivera strikes out. Jackson Holliday strikes out. Gunnar Henderson gets hit by a pitch, and then Adley trying to hit a freaking 2-run homer or 3-run homer. All you need to do is get a base hit. You score that run. Gunnar goes to third base. If you hit one down the line, Gunnar's scoring from first, right? And instead, Adley strikes out. Now look, he got boned on the strike 2 call. I thought it was a ball, but then called strike, inner third, doesn't swing at it. Called strike below the zone, doesn't swing at it. I thought it was a ball. It gets called a strike. Third pitch, middle, bottom third, but middle, and he fouls it off, and then swings at a pitch that is so far and away out of the strike zone, low and inside for strike 3. And it just sucks, man. It sucks. We'll get into it now. It sucks that you see Gunnar Henderson come up in big situations. Adley Rutschman come up in big situations. And these are supposed to be the 2 best players on your team. These are supposed to be the stars, the guys who you can turn to, who you can count on, and they're failing. They're like, and it's not just that they're failing. We expect them to fail. I have no confidence that Gunner's going to get a base hit in a big situation, late and close. I have no expectation other than Adley Rutschman hitting a pop-up or a weak fly ball to right field with the bases loaded. In a time when the Orioles need them to come through, they've been so bad the last several weeks. I have zero confidence that they're going to get the job done. And Gunnar 2 weeks ago came through with 4 home runs in 5 games. And it was like, oh, yes, Gunnar's back. And he immediately fell off a cliff again. Let me tell you that in Gunnar's last 7 games, he is 3 for 28. In his last 15 games, he's 9 for 58. And all 3 of his in the last 7 games were singles. He's not driving the baseball. There's something off with him. You watch him in an at bat. Any fastballs he's missing. He's fouling them off. And he's not just fouling them off, he's fouling them off the opposite way. So he's late. Pigtown Sports, is that the guy's name on Twitter? He thinks that Gunnar has a shoulder injury. He thinks that Gunnar has a shoulder injury that he's playing through that's affecting his entire game. I don't know about that because how do you hit 4 home runs in 5 games otherwise? I just think that he looks lost at the plate. Adley, I mean, maybe he got hit by that pitch on the hand, and that's what's been impacting him. He has been. This is the worst he's ever looked in his big league career. This is probably the worst he's ever played in his entire life. In his entire life.
Yeah,
and it's been 2.5 months of this with Adley. Like, he has not hit in 2.5 months. He had that 5-hit game, I think, on June 22nd against the Astros. He's hitting like 160 since then. It's to the point where before the game the other day, they were acting like it was good that Adley and Gunnar were both hitting like 253 in August. That's not good. That's like below average. That's like I guess that's like league average. That's like 100 OPS plus in my mind is hitting 253 because they're not hitting for power either. These are the guys that the Orioles are depending on, and they're falling flat and failing in big situations. Not just time and time again. It's every single time. This team goes as Adley goes. This team goes as Gunnar goes. And they're both going straight down, and the team's going down with them. Your thoughts, Ryan?
Yeah, it's hard to watch. Like you said, if they come up in a big spot, I have zero expectation at this point that they're going to come through, which stinks because those are the 2 guys that I typically would want at the plate in those situations. And now it's like I'd rather Ramon Arias be at the plate because he's probably going to stroke a line drive to right field or something. I don't know. Yeah, look, whether they're playing through injuries, I don't know. I'm not sure I buy it with Gunnar. I think his timing's just off. I don't know if it's a mechanical thing. Maybe it's an injury thing. I don't know, but he's missing pitches right down the middle that, April, May, June, Gunnar Henderson would have hit 425 feet just about every time. And he's fouling them off the other way. It's not, I really think it's a timing thing with him. Adley, I think it's more likely that Adley's playing through an injury. He's dealt with the hand thing. He dealt with the back thing. The only reason I think it might be not accurate is if he's really dealing with a lower back injury, why is he swinging out of his shoes on every pitch? I feel like those 2 things are kind of counterintuitive if you're dealing with a back. But it's just an entire, and I talked about this a little bit earlier in the show. It's just his whole approach. It seems like every at bat is he's watching strike 1 down the middle, and then he's swinging at what would have been ball 1 that's a slider around his ankles, and then he's in an 0-2 hole, and he's been in an 0-2 hole in far too many of his at bats this year. I think it's like 7.2%. I saw that on social media this morning. I wish I could remember who exactly said it, but I didn't save it. But something like 7.2% of Adley's at bats this season have found him in an 0-2 count. And look, he's not even walking. Old Adley, when he was struggling to the plate, he was still walking a ton.
The at bats are really poor. They're really poor. He's not working counts. He had a big walk the other day where he looked like old Adley. The way that he just kind of watched it, like he wasn't going to swing at a pitch that wasn't his pitch. And I was like, oh, maybe that's a good sign of things to come. And then he's immediately back to the crap that we've seen since the end of June.
Yeah. And his OBP is it's what, like 330 now? This is a guy who should be on basing 370 to 390 every single year. And I think he's down in the 330s at this point. I might not be giving him enough credit, but
he is. It's 324. His OBP is 324.
That's brutal.
It's brutal. I mean,
that is not Adley Rutschman.
It's not even in the least. I mean, his rookie season, 362. 2023, 374. Last year, 324. You look at him in the minors, 351, 397, 417. You go back to Adley in college. And he was Let's see, Oregon State, 322 as a freshman. 505, 575. 505, 575 his last 2 years of college.
Yeah.
Like, and then he hit 408 and 411. Like, this
It's like
guy has got an elite eye. Every level, you look at his first year in minor league ball, 20 walks, 27 strikeouts, a 351 on base percentage. 2021 in the minors, 79 walks, 90 strikeouts, 397. 2022, 304, 417. Then he gets to the major leagues, 254 with a 362 on base percentage. Next year, 277 with a 374 on base percentage. This year, 257, 324. 49 walks to 86 strikeouts. Every year, 65 walks to 86 strikeouts as a rookie, 92 walks to 101 strikeouts in his sophomore season. This year, 49 walks to 86 strikeouts. Look, he's not striking out a ton, but have you seen him do anything but hit weak pop-ups and fly balls to the right side in the last month?
It's bad. It's like he's trying to become a power hitter, and that's not who he is. Like his batting average this year is 3 points higher than it was his rookie year. His on base is 38 points lower. It's just it's an entirely poor approach. If you want to be a home run hitter, fine, but don't sacrifice your other natural abilities. He hit 20 homers last year, and his OBP was still 374. He's at 18 right now. Like
and he was at like 17 in June.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. It's so hard to watch because this isn't who he is. Every single person watching this guy knows what he is capable of and knows that he is not this player. And I don't know why he's trying to be this player, or at least it seems like he's trying to be this player. This, wants to hit 30 homers in a year, trying to keep up with Gunnar, whatever. Maybe they have a side bet who can hit the most homers this year. And Adley's pressing because he knows he needs to hit 15 more in the next month. I don't know, but it's
just a tie.
It's so inconceivable that a player who has been this consistently good for so long and has such natural baseball talent has just forgotten how to do it, seemingly.
And this is why people are coming for the hitting coaches.
Yeah.
Because, do I believe that the hitting coaches told Adley to take a different approach from the middle of June on? No. I think the approach for Adley has been coached to him all season, and he was doing really well with it until June, through the into the third week or fourth week of June, right? Ever since then, I don't know if it's. I think it's probably more on Adley than anything, trying to do too much potentially and lead this team now because of all the injuries. Maybe he's looking at all the injuries to the pitching staff. He's like, you know what? I've got to lead this team. We've been playing substandard baseball. I've got to help this team get out of it. Maybe that's been the case, but it's people are coming at the hitting coaches because their job is to turn this around for him. It's their job is to help him turn it around, and they're not doing that. You have a guy who's supposed to be the best hitting catcher in the league, and he looks like a shell of his former self. Somebody was like laughing at me on social media the other day for saying that the hitting coaches absolutely should be partially to blame for this. He was like, "You really think that the hitting coaches are just going to mess with his approach midseason?" It's like,
yeah.
What do you think their job is? Like, he was legitimately intimating that the hitting coaches don't do anything with the hitters during the season. And he was so confident that he laughed at me. And it's like, they're getting paid to help this guy get out of this slump. No, Adley's got to do it. But it's the hitting coach's job to give him the tools necessary to do it. What is happening here? The two best players on your team can't be dependent on in any situation right now. You can't depend on them. The two best players on your team, you can't depend on. It sucks. We got to move. What's on tap for the Orioles? They head back to Baltimore after today's game to take on the White Sox for 3 games, beginning Monday with a Labor Day matinee at 3:05. After an off day on Thursday, they then welcome Tampa Bay to Oriole Park at Camden Yards to complete the season series with the Rays of 3 games over the weekend. Today's show brought to you by County Sports Zone high school sports season is officially underway. County Sports Zone will be reporting every score from every event with every school at every level throughout the state, all academic year long. Check it all out right now at countysports.zone. Proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. It is time for Take to Rake. It's a tie. I took Gunner. You had in your stead. Dylan took Adley. Gunner / 107, 167, 107, 274 since last Saturday. Adley 167, 286, 208, 494. They take to suck is what we did last week. Take to suck. If we took take to suck, I would have won because Gunner was absolutely atrocious. Adley was almost as bad. So nobody wins. You want to rock, paper, scissors for who gets to pick first?
I think I'm not saying I should get the win, but I think Adley's 494 OPS. It sucks, but Gunner's was 274. So
yeah, go ahead.
I think I should get first pick here. Well, I'll accept the tie. Dude, Coby Mayo. I don't know.
All right.
Why
Ryan's going to take, let me get this out of here. Get the Dylan part out of here because you were not Dylan. You were Ryan.
So going into last week, I don't remember what it was. Did I get a win last week?
You got the win last week.
Okay.
You got the win. So I had the now standings are I have 8 wins. Ryan and our guests have 6. And there have now been 4 ties. I only think one of those ties were when both players ranked. I think that only happened one time. I think it was Gunner and Jordan Westberg.
I think so, yeah. They both had like 1,200 OPSs that week.
Yeah, everybody else, every other tie has been they both just absolutely sucked. So Ryan's going to take Coby Mayo. Paul's going to take his life over this team. Paul takes, Santander looks like he's breaking out of it. I'll take him.
Okay, I like that.
We'll see how. A double and a 2-run homer yesterday. He's you know what? I think he's gonna try to hit 40, and he's gonna go on like a 2-week homerless drought.
You know what? I like your thinking. I don't like your thinking, but I respect your think. Yeah, I like that you're taking take to rake to this point where you're like 39 homers. He's on the brink of a milestone. That's when players slump. I don't want to take this guy. I respect the hell out of that.
It took Seti like 3 weeks to hit his 30th home run.
Yeah.
It took when Adam Jones was going for his like 100th candid yards home run, it took him like a month to hit it. You know, when these players get to these milestones. But I also just think that Anthony Santander is a dude.
Yeah.
I think that he just goes up there and he's like, I'm here to mash baseballs. And I don't think that I'm sure he knows he has 39 home runs, but I think that more so he's just like, my team needs a home run right now. I'm effing hitting it. You know what I mean? So I'm going to keep it with Santander.
Okay.
But I will not be surprised if it doesn't happen because he's trying to hit his 40th. You know? Sure. Why don't you maybe he can just hit 2 home runs today, get to 41, and then just go on a tear and get to 50.
Sure.
Over the next 3-4 weeks, right?
Fine with me.
If Santander gets to 50 home runs, the Orioles are going to clinch a playoff spot the 3rd week. I'm calling it. All right. Oh man, I'm like exhausted. I'm emotionally and mentally drained by this team.
Yeah, that's why I stopped posting on my O's account. I'm on the 60-day IL. I think it was the day Eflin got hurt. I made one of those like fake roster move graphics and was like, Orioles fan Ryan's on the 60-day IL due to sadness. And I just haven't.
I remember seeing that.
I just haven't posted on that account since then. The problem is, if I stick with that, 60 days is going to put us after the first wildcard series. So we'll see. We'll see if I can hold off on tweeting or posting or Xing until then.
Dude, I told myself I'm not going to post. I'm not going to post 2 days ago and then yesterday. Yesterday was a positive thing, and then it was like I was just so upset about how poorly Adley has been doing that I just put spectacular. You know.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Since I've stopped posting a ton, and like I'll fire off a tweet or two during a game from my personal account just because like whatever. because I do enjoy interacting with people. But like I've been so much happier since I stopped
It's really
caring
bad for
about
my
it.
mental health. Like I
Yeah,
was getting so worked up by these games. Like it was affecting me, not like in my life, but it was affecting me in the moment to a point that I didn't want to feel like that. So I was like, I've got to stop. Like
yeah.
if this is
And I've
causing me to feel this way, I got to stop.
And I've gotten to a point where, like, don't get me wrong, I'm upset when the Orioles lose, but like we lost the game last night and I was like, I turn it off. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna continue about my evening. And like
Mm-hmm.
that's been the vibes recently. And like, don't call me a fair weather fan. I'm not hopping off the bandwagon. I love this team with all my heart. But
100%.
sometimes you just like my wife, right? I love my wife
My
dearly.
wife.
And I get to call her my wife now because I just got married a couple months ago. But I love her dearly. I so enjoy spending time with her. She's going on a girls' trip in a couple weeks. I'm thrilled to have the house to myself for a weekend. That's kind of how I am with the Orioles right now. It's like I love you. I want to keep in touch. This is all great. But a couple days where I'm just kind of passively being there, it's cool with me. And
Yeah,
it's been good for my mental health.
you get to just chill. You
Yeah.
get to just chill, and it's I agree with you. Let me just make sure that I've got all the times down for these reads real quick. Uh, oh, I didn't put down the Arthur Mollett one. I think I did. We'll say I did that one at 10:16 because whatever.
Good
All
enough.
right, yeah, fair, good enough by me. So let's get some interactions here. Daniel Pitts. Why they keep thinking they're going to fix Kimbrel's beyond me. You cannot survive in today's baseball with a 92, 93 mile per hour fastball that you can't control and a mediocre curveball. I don't think that they think they can depend on him. I think that they have to because they paid him $12 million this year.
Well, here's all right. So I have a couple gripes with this because number one, they just DFA'd Dylan Tate, and I like why didn't they give him a shot this year? Is he still dealing with some nag? I don't know what's going on. He seemed to be fine in AAA. We know what he's been able to do for us in the past, and they go ahead and DFA this guy. But you look at Kimbrel, right, and his contract. How much that is paid already? He's probably due like between 1.5 and 2 million the rest of the year. And
Mm-hmm.
there's another comment that I know you're going to pull up in a few minutes that you probably at this point can't have Kimbrel on your playoff roster. Then DFA him today
Yeah, I think it's
because
also
rosters are
kind.
expanding and players have to be on the 40 man by today in order to be postseason eligible, I believe. So if you want another option and you're pretty sure you're not going to be able to rely on Kimbrel in the postseason, cut him today. It's not going to happen, but that's what you got to do.
Well, they haven't announced any of their roster moves yet. If they have, I haven't seen it. But they'll announce the roster moves to get Eflin and Coby Mayo here and all that. So, um, we'll see what happens. But I also think it's just kind of like this unspoken thing that you don't do that to these guys. Like when the Angels did that to Albert Pujols, it was like unheard of. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like this unspoken thing that even if they're not good anymore, you don't do that to legends of the game. And and
Sure.
and, and whether we like it or not, Craig Kimbrell's a legend of the game. Like
Yes.
he was
And
he was one of the greatest closers of all time at his peak.
I get that and I understand that. And I think that's by and large a good thing about this game. But we've been waiting on a World Series for 41 years now. We're trying to win one this season. He's holding us back.
Yeah,
It's
he
as
is.
simple as that.
You can't depend on
Do
him.
you want to treat a future Hall of Famer with respect or do you want to win a World Series with your team? And I'm not saying that you can't have both, right? But like I don't know, man. It's just so hard to watch because every time he's out on the mound now, it's like, all right, this one's in the bag.
They very easily. I think that I would not be shocked if they DFA him. I wouldn't be shocked if they don't DFA him. I'm expecting him to not be on the postseason roster. You can't carry him. And if you do, I just I don't see how you can. But
Yeah,
if they don't DFA him, I think it's simply because he's a legend, and it's just kind of like an unspoken thing. You don't do that.
sure. Yeah.
Adit says Gregory Soto with 8 straight scoreless appearances. Also, don't think Kimbrel makes a postseason roster. I would have Nick Anderson, Matt Bowman, Birch, or Selby before Craig. I've been meaning to look up Nick Anderson's numbers. I feel like he used to be fairly good, didn't he?
He was one of the best relievers in baseball like 2, 3 years ago. I'm pretty sure. I think he had Tommy John.
and he's only been in the league since 2019. So let's see. 2019 in 68 games, he had a 3.32 ERA. 2020 in 19 games at 0.55. He had a 4.04 with the Royals this year. He was 3.06 in 35 games with Atlanta last year. Yeah, I think he's on the 40. He's got to be on the 40 man, right?
I think so, because he was a waiver claim, wasn't he?
It says Baltimore Orioles minors. I don't know. 828, relieving Nick Anderson joining the Orioles after opting out of a minor league deal with the Dodgers. It is not clear whether the righty will jump. Okay.
He's not on the 40.
They may add him today.
Yeah.
Maybe they DFA Kimbrel and they add Nick Anderson today.
Please.
Oh, we got to move it. AJ, I am happy that the hitting coaches got towards, especially when Connor Norby has been your most consistent hitter. Oh wait, yeah, most consistent hitter for the Marlins. I think he set like a Marlins record with a hit in each of his first 8 games with the team.
I think he's up to 11 now. After yesterday.
No, he went hitless 2 days ago.
Oh, did he? I saw it got to 10, but maybe it cut off.
He went hitless the other day.
Yeah.
Daniel says it's starting to feel like this team is cursed with all the injuries, subpar play by. But to me, yes, and like I know that the overall vibes around the show today have been like downtrodden and somber, but like I also feel like right now it's always darkest before the dawn, right? There's a reason that they say that. Like right now, it feels like woe is me. It feels like nothing is going right for this team. But then like you're gonna see like some of these guys kind of trickle back in like. Coby Mayo is back, and what if Coby Mayo comes back and he hits 270 with like 4 home runs for you? You know what I mean? Like I think we're in the darkness before the dawn situation right now. So I'm like cautiously optimistic, even though it hasn't seemed like it for the majority of the show. I'm cautiously optimistic that they're about to turn a corner, but it has to start today.
We said near the top of the show, like it feels like the vibe is like this is going to be one of those seasons where we somehow just end up in the World Series. Like, maybe we're wrong, but like, yeah, who knows? It could be darkest before the dawn. Anything can happen. Baseball is a weird game.
Look at Colton Cowser, for example. Okay, he got called up to the Orioles last year, and he was atrocious for the Orioles to the point where he got demoted again, and then his batting average dropped 30 points in his final month at Norfolk. He went from he got back to Norfolk batting 330 and ended the season hitting 300. He was in a dismal slump, and as soon as they got into the playoffs, he was their best hitter. He was their best hitter in the playoffs. I think that if you get this team into the playoffs and they win a game, let's say they win that first game, all these young bucks are going to be like, dude, let's go win this thing. You know what I mean? I think they're going to get hyped. I don't think that they're going to. I think that they could. You know, like young dudes with confidence, they just need to get confident. You can tell by the body language that this team is lacking confidence right now. Yeah. Adley needs a game where he goes gap to gap and hits 2 doubles, a double to each gap, and Adley's going to be right again. You know, Gunnar needs a game where he comes up in a big situation and laces a line drive over the shortstop's head to drive in 2. Right? Like, that's what these guys need right now. I don't need Gunnar to hit 430-foot home run when the Orioles are up 8-2. Gunnar needs to come through in a big situation. Adley needs to remember what it's like to hit a line drive into the gap to the opposite field. Like, that's what these guys need to get themselves going again, in my opinion. Once they do that, I think they could take off. But getting healthy and getting that confidence is what's going to be huge for this team moving forward.
No doubt.
AJ, I disagree with Mustache. Who is Mustache? The Rangers has the best manager of my lifetime while we have Brandon Hyde. Oh, he's calling you Mustache?
Pull off the comment real quick.
Pull off?
My name is right here. It has been the whole show.
I thought that there was like a comment. Or like, did I miss a comment by somebody named Mustache? I don't look at you and think Mustache. I think it's solid Mustache. You know, I disagree with
better, but you know, I had a headshot at work this week. I'm like, I'm having a mustache for my headshot, no doubt. So I don't remember what he would be disagreeing with. Maybe it was about what I said, how we could get hot in October. Oh, okay, yeah, because I was talking about the Rangers last year. You know, they had a tough stretch near the end of the season, and then they came out and won the World Series. Yeah, look.
Am I beard? Like, are
Now
we
you are.
mustache? Are we mustache and the beard?
We are now.
We should just change the name of the show. Mustache and the beard.
Yeah, look. I said this earlier as well. Bruce Bochy managed circles around Brandon Hyde in the ALDS last year. Um, or the yeah. Um, look, I don't like Hyde. I understand we're stuck with him. I don't think he's the guy who's going to lead us to a championship, but he might be. We we don't know.
He's not.
It could be all about the players in October. Who knows?
If the Orioles win the World Series, I'm telling you, it's not because of Brandon Hyde.
Yeah,
It's not because I've seen too much for too long from Brandon Hyde to think that all of a sudden they're going to win a World Series because of him. I think that they will win a World Series in spite of him.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
All right. AJ, no run coming. I don't know what that. Oh, the Orioles. Well, that's you say that.
Never know.
Is Mountcastle permanently benched? He's on the IL.
Yeah.
If so, send him down and open up a roster spot to call him. AJ, you can't talk in what seems like facts, like no run coming. Bruce Bochy's the best manager of my lifetime, and then not know that Ryan Mountcastle's on the IL. Like, and I love you, man. And I'm so happy that you follow the team. But Ryan Mountcastle's been on the IL for like a week. Like, we got to know this.
Yeah. He didn't start against Yusei Kikuchi. That should have told you something.
Yeah. The Orioles record before the T-Rose has nothing to do with anything. The Orioles record before the T-Rose price deal, 42-22. They announced the deal June 10th. They lost Kyle Bradish on June 12th. And Grayson Rodriguez has been on the IL for a month. And then they lost Zach Eflin for 15 days. Like, it has nothing to do with T-Row Price. It has everything to do with the fact that John Means, Kyle Bradish, Tyler Wells, Felix Bautista all had Tommy John surgery. And Danny Coulombe's been out with bone chips for 2 months. And Jacob Webb's been out for a month. And Grayson Rodriguez has missed a month. Like, that's why the Orioles have sucked since June. That has nothing to do with T-Row Price. Like, you can 100% see where the Orioles' downfall started almost immediately and directly coincides with Kyle Bradish going on the IL and having Tommy John surgery. They were the best team in baseball when Kyle Bradish got hurt, and they've been 5 games under 500 ever since. It's almost exact. That's T-Row Price has nothing. I mean, T-Row Price is good for this team, by the way. You want the Orioles to give these players big contracts. You want them to go sign free agents to put them over the hump. T-Row Price helps you do that. T-Row Price is good. I'm all for it.
Their sign over the scoreboard is pretty sick too.
It is.
I'm a fan.
Daniel says this season feels like an abusive relationship. I'm on board with that.
Yeah.
I'm beaten down.
Yep.
And it's crazy because they're in first place. They're not in first place, but they're the number 1 wild card team. They're 19 games above 500. But it's how they got there. At one point, this team was 24 games above 500 with the best record in baseball, and they had just taken 2 of 3 from the Yankees, the Phillies, and the Braves. But now, since then, they're 5 games below 500. So, I just feel like they haven't won more than 2 games in a row in like a month and a half. It hurts, man. Like, it's giving me anxiety right now. AJ says, also, this pitching coach has sucked. Also seen Corbin Burns decline. Sending Chris Holt down was another awful decision. I mean, they didn't send him down. He's the pitching director for the entire organization. So, I mean, I think that maybe it was Chris Holt that wanted – maybe Chris Holt came to them and was like, you know what? Being the pitching coach is impacting what I really want to do, which is set up the pitching for this entire organization top to bottom and have run over that. But I have had people, when I say people, like friends, who said to me that they don't know how, but they think that Drew French is directly responsible for all the injuries to the pitchers this
year. I don't know. Maybe there's a little bit of a correlation, but like this is a widespread thing across baseball. Like I know the Orioles have been snake bit more than most other teams, but like this isn't an Orioles exclusive thing. Yeah. Was Chris Holt a better pitching coach than Drew French? Yeah, probably. But I don't think we're getting hurt because of Drew French.
Yeah, I don't think that the Orioles, because Chris Holt could have any pitching coaching job that he wants in baseball. That's how highly regarded he was. I don't think that the Orioles sent him down. I think he probably went to them and said, "Hey, this is what I want to do."
Yeah.
Otherwise,
This was a promotion for him.
Like, he was. Well, no, it's the same role. He's always been the head of their pitching development.
Oh, fair. Okay,
yeah. He's just not that. I think in my mind, he went to the upper ups and was like, "Look, this is what I want to do. Being a pitching coach is a lifelong dream, but now I'm realizing that what I want to maybe, and I'm speculating the terminology here, but I think the gist of what he said, what happened is that he went to them and was like, I really want to develop the pitching for this entire organization from top to the bottom. And even though that's my role right now, I think being a pitching coach is taking away from that. And I don't want to get back to doing that. That's the only reason that he wouldn't be the pitching coach anymore.
Yeah.
He would have had to be 100% on board with that. And I think it may have even been his idea. AJ, in 2014, they lost Markakis, Machado to injury, and Davis suspension. His team is snake bit with injuries. Yeah, but in 2014, they got swept in the ALCS, and probably the most demoralizing series in the history of the Baltimore Orioles. Yeah. Like, they were playing a team that they should have been better than. That they were better than the entire season. And they were 4 games away from going to the World Series, and they got swept. Yeah. Like, these two things are not the same.
And you brought up a minute ago that, maybe they win one game and the young guys hey, let's go win the damn thing. The 2014 Royals were down 7-3 in the 8th inning of the wild card game. Back when that was a 1-game winner go home to the Athletics, and they came back and won that game, and then they won their next 7 and made it to the World Series. So yeah, sometimes you just catch fire at the right time. Hopefully the Orioles can do the same.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, guys. I do appreciate all the listeners, all the viewers. I appreciate you guys commenting. I'm not trying to be so dismissive. And a lot of times I have a problem with it's not what I say, but it's how I say it. So I apologize for that. I appreciate you commenting. I don't agree with some of these comments today. And I'm going to let you know that I don't agree with them. But I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. So if I'm coming across that way, I apologize. Daniel says, I've heard some people wondering if Adley may have a lingering injury that he isn't telling anyone about. What's your theory about his collapse? And keep in mind that we're reading these comments at the end of the show, and I know these are coming during the show. If anything, I think it's a hand thing. Ryan made the great point about his swing. There's a lot of torque in his swing right now, and I don't think it has anything to do with his back. I think if it's anything, it's the hand issue. But the swing is all uppercut. He's always had an uppercut swing, but it's like really dramatic right now. It's really exaggerated. The cat agrees.
I'm in my wife's office today because I got a buddy who spent the night last night. He's sleeping downstairs, so I'm in my wife's office, and all the cats are just surrounding me today.
All good. My cat's in here too. She's the one that doesn't hang out that often. She's hanging out a lot because she's also the one that wants food the most, and she hasn't been fed yet. So, Daniel says, I honestly don't understand the hate White Sox fans have for Eloy. He seems like an amazing teammate and an incredibly positive person. I guess it was all the injuries he had with them. You can't control that. I also think that it was probably like a lot of body language. He even said in the interview that like there was no motivation when he was on that team, and fans can see that. Like we can see the body language from the Orioles right now. Fans can see the body language from the players on their team when they don't want to be there. It is and that probably shown through to those fans watching the White Sox that he just didn't want to be there.
We could see it with Austin Hayes before he was traded. We talked about it on the show, I believe.
Absolutely. AJ, ever since the Yankees started plunking our guys and they ended Kjerstad's career.
Okay.
They didn't end his career. And our guys did nothing except the manager causing a dumb brouhaha. It showed that our guys have no chutzpah. I don't think that's how you spell that. We actually have some goons. Like this is all over the place. Like
the verbiage in this comment is remarkable.
Yeah. We also have some goons like Kimbrel McCann who are cooked, have smacked their clothes the way Alan Mills smacked Darryl Strawberry back in the day. I did love that, but who could have, not cooked have, who could have smacked their clothes the way Alan, like that is so all over the place. I'm gonna leave that alone. You can't state factually that it ended Kjerstad's career. Maybe it did, but we don't know that. Daniel says, if Westberg is going to be our third baseman going forward, do you think the team will start transitioning Mayo to first base? Then you'd have an O'Hearn Mayo platoon. I think that's ultimately the goal. I think that's ultimately what they're going to do.
I think most likely.
Right now, the need was immediately when he got called up the first time was at third base. Arias wasn't hitting. Westbrook had just gone on the IL. Coby Mayo had more than earned the call up. He's going to go play first base. He's not a third baseman for the team moving forward, and they know that. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him if they don't have to IL Ramon, if this is just a day-to-day thing with the ankle roll. I wouldn't be surprised to see Mayo get a lot of time at first base, but also as a DH.
Yeah.
All right. I gotta run. I gotta go pick up my daughter. I still gotta take a shower first. So let's see. Daniel wants to know, what are your thoughts on Hyde holding back his players and pushing them out of the way when they are arguing with the ump, and then he says nothing to the ump at all? That looks horrible to the players. So he's supposed to push him out of the way. He's supposed to stand in between them, right? Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. He's supposed to do that. I've kind of thought the same thing. And maybe not like actively thought, but subconsciously, but like, because I've noticed he sends him back to dugout and then doesn't say anything. Yeah. He goes back with him. Like, what are we doing?
Send him back to the dugout. Keep your players from getting ejected, and then go yell at the umpires on that player's behalf. That's the way it goes. That's the way it's always gone.
Yeah.
And he'll tell Burns to shut up, or he'll tell whoever to shut up, and then he acts like it's over at that point.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I don't know. I don't know. All right. AJ says KZ gives me shit for having Hyde and Harbaugh, for hating Hyde and Harbaugh, but how can you not both suck? I'm pretty sure KZ can't stand John Harbaugh. So I don't know where that comes from. I'm pretty sure that KZ has wanted Harbaugh gone for a good while.
Who's KZ?
Ken Zales.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Randall Fracassi, sorry, I forgot about the Sunday Showtime. It's all right, man. All good. Glad you're here.
We got AJ and Daniel holding down the fort for you, Randall. Don't worry.
Yeah. AJ said Hyde looked terrible Tuesday night and gave me the dirtiest look. You? The players, especially O'Hearn, who gave his bangos to the kids next to me in Jackson Holiday, were very nice to me. Oh, you must have been sitting close. Were you heckling him? Or is that just his face?
Yeah, I think that's just how he looks most of the time.
Yeah, he just looks like a sad bulldog all the time.
I don't know. Maybe he doesn't like you. I don't know.
Oh, KZ, he came in and said, AJ, wait, I never give you anything about Harbs. Hashtag HWO for Hardball World Order for life. Yeah, KZ does not like Harbaugh. KZ has been on the get rid of John Harbaugh bandwagon for quite a while now. Like, it's not even a bandwagon. I think he's driving the wagon. I'm pretty sure. That's cool. The KZ came in here and was like, hey, wait a second.
Love that.
Daniel Pitts, I agree. We should have kept Norby. Norby would have been an ideal bench player that could play multiple. He'd be starting for this team right now. He would be. They'd be finding a way to get him in the lineup. And it's not that I thought they should keep him. Is they needed to get more than what they got for he and Stowers.
Yeah, again, like we said, we kind of knew and were expecting Norby and Stowers to be traded. We didn't think the return was going to be a 4A pitcher who hasn't been good in 4 years and is now down at AAA. Like, that's not what we expected. I'm thrilled for Norby that he's getting an opportunity and producing. Like, I'm truly, genuinely happy to see it. Same with Stowers. But it's the fact that the return was Trevor Rogers that makes it a really tough pill to swallow. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. There are 2 comments that we're going to get to. I'm sorry, guys. If this was a Saturday, it'd be one thing, but it is my sister's watching my daughter, so I have to go pick her up. Let's see. Daniel, this is the one comment I want to get to. I wasn't going to address it, but I kind of want to. Paul, I'm sure you don't want to talk about the X drama this week, but I just wanted to say I support you in it. You speak for all of us. Do you remember when Eric Garfield came after me 3 months ago? And then I texted him to try and like squash any beef, and he just didn't respond, and then cried to the upper-ups, and I got a stern talking to about my language. That all died for 3 months. And then last week, after an Orioles win, when I complimented Jackson Holiday for coming through with maybe the biggest hit of his young career, Eric Garfield quote tweets something I said about how the team was terrible right now. They just weren't hitting this, that, and the other, and called me a baby. And it was this whole thing. I'm not going to get into it. The guy's a coward. he's a hack, and he like every single prospect. I stopped having him on this show because every single prospect that comes through the Orioles system that he sees play in Florida is going to be the next big all-star for the team, and it's just not accurate. It's not credible journalism, and I wasn't going to have him on my show for it anymore. I'm not calling myself a journalist. I'm not saying, but like if I'm going to interview you on my show and I want my listeners to think that you're an expert on it, then you need like not every player is the second coming, and you would think based on his analysis that every player is the second coming, and it's just this whole thing. There's a reason that I have exponentially more engagement than he does, despite him having 3 times the followers that I do, because he's not worth the Charmin Extra Soft who wipes his butt with. And that's really all I have to say about Eric anymore. I don't want to talk about him ever again. I just think that he's garbage all the way around. And then finally, AJ. And when I called Mr. Host mustache earlier, I didn't mean any disrespect. I call Connor Newcomb that often. Also, I am envious. I look terrible with one. So in your face, in your mustachioed face, Ryan, he meant no disrespect.
I didn't take it disrespectfully. I appreciate something like that. I deserve it. I don't think I look good with it either, but I don't think I look good with anything. So,
look, shut up.
I didn't take it personally. I just thought it was funny considering my name was on the screen. But yeah, no, AJ, no hard feelings. Totally good.
Ryan, you are a lovely man. You stop insulting my friend like that. You look good with a mustache. You look good without a mustache.
Dude, my best man says that to me all the time. Anytime, because we used to work together for a time, and anytime I was like having a bad day or talking down on myself at all, he'd be like, "Don't you dare talk about my friend that way."
Yep.
And that's sweet. That's really sweet.
Oh. All right, guys. Sorry we couldn't get to all the comments. Like I said, if I didn't have to go pick up my daughter, we get to more, but we're already an hour 47 in. I told my sister I'm going to try to end the show early, and it's been one of our longer shows. Awesome. All right. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Without you, we don't have a show. Thank you to all of our listeners, fans, loyal supporters. Guys, without you, we do not have a show. We certainly appreciate it. I saw some of the stats for the show, and Facebook gives you these stats for like people to view and all that, and we have higher than typical for like everything. And I just think that's awesome. So thank you for all the engagement making our show as popular as it's been. So I certainly appreciate it. Hopefully we've got a run coming. Hopefully on the show next Saturday, the Orioles are in the midst of winning 5 out of 6 for the week. Until then, see ya.